I'm right in saying that both of you accessed peer support before you became peer support facilitators. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what brought you to peer support in the first place?
So for me, I came to peer support about 6 years ago, and I've been suffering with depression and anxiety for a few years already by that point. I had tried a bunch of other different services out, and groups actually was something that really freaked me out. I really didn't like the idea of it. I had a lot of issues with anxiety, but specifically in social situations, and the idea of talking in front of people in groups terrified me. But I'd kind of been referred to it, and I was open-minded just about enough to come to peer support. And then what I found is that I really, really liked it, and it actually really suited me. 6 years on, I now kind of do it for a living, and I can't really imagine like not being a part of peer support groups. And continues to be a big part of my recovery and to kind of general increased sense of well-being.
Cool, thank you. And what about you, Jamie?
So I have suffered with depression and anxiety since I was quite young, and then had sort of gone through a breakdown in my early, sort of around the age of 30, which lasted a few years, and then got under care of secondary care mental health services, so community mental health team. And then, had had sort of therapy, medication, and seen a lot of professionals. It came to peer support just out of curiosity, really. And again, I was very similar to how Alex had mentioned, terrified of speaking in a group, being in a group even, a lot of social anxiety, and I was very isolated at the time and sort of didn't have much contact with people. And managed to come to the introduction session and sort of get through it. And then, the feeling that I had afterwards was remarkable. I still remember it to this day, really.
So, what is peer support at Leeds Mind?
Peer support generally describes a relationship between people where they have some sort of shared experience and are able to support one another through that shared experience. So there's many sort of different forms of peer support out in the community, many different services. Some are sort of more informal and some are more sort of formal. I'd say the Leeds Mind model, what we do, is more on the formal side. We go with a very specific purpose around what we talk around. We have a very specific structure to our groups as well. So it's very held, it's very safe. Everyone who works in the service has their own lived experience with mental health, mental health problems or mental health distress, which really sort of helps to cement that peer element, and that people can understand and appreciate what you're saying when you share in a group. The majority of our peer support groups are what we call skills-based groups. Within the skills groups, we have courses and workshops. So a course will be 4 to 6 weeks, all themed around the same sort of topic, whereas a workshop will be a one-off session that we can go into sort of a bit more detail about just a specific topic, and we might have extra ones that we don't necessarily offer a whole course on, but we offer a workshop on. So we do things like workshops on managing mood, so that's sort of exploring what mood is, ways that we might be able to sort of have a sort of more equal mood.
A whole range of workshops that you can have a look into, which are really good if you can't commit to a course as well, because they're just a one-day event. So we have 5 ways to well-being, coping with isolation, we have coping with panic, and you also get taster workshops, which can be good if you're thinking about doing a course but would like to sample it. So managing anxiety and mindfulness and meditation, we do one-off workshops that also work as a course, so you can get a taster of them and then do the course if you like them as well.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the peer support groups?
Yeah, so the peer support groups that we offer, you have your courses and workshops, but you have your support groups that are a bit more longer term. So the support groups run over 6 months and are a chance for a group to kind of really build a kind of like connection that you might not be able to do in the courses and workshops, which are run for a shorter period of time. So there's not kind of structured specific topics or content that the facilitators deliver to the group. It's about whatever's going on for the individuals in the group at that time. So in each session you'll have one or two people who will kind of bring up a topic, something that's going on for them, whether it's a problem or kind of an experience or even just a set of feelings, and it can really be anything that they want to talk about. And there's really no boundaries about what people can talk about as well. We have things in place to make sure it feels safe, but what comes up can really be anything for anyone. And I think, you know, the support groups are something that I accessed for a long time, and being able to explore things like that is really unique, especially over that period of time. I had moved between a lot of different services and found kind of finding like longer term support really difficult. So support groups felt really comforting to me. Kind of being around a similar group of people over a longer period of time helped me feel more comfortable, and really enabled me to kind of explore things in more depth than I had the chance to do so in other places, and continue to be a massive part of like my own self-exploration and developing my skills for coping with mental health. And just also amazing and humbling to be around such a, like, it's always such a varied group of people, but you find that you have like a lot in common and similar experiences. So the support groups I can't speak highly enough of, and really unique and kind of a special sort of place to be able to share and talk about mental health.
So who is the Leeds Mind peer support for? Who can access our services?
Yeah, so Leeds Mind peer support is, I would say, for anyone really. For anyone 18 and over for our sort of general peer support that we do. But we also have a number of projects that we do as sort of partners within Leeds Mind. So we have a project called Through, which is for younger people, so that's 16 to 25-year-olds. We also have a project for the community mental health teams in Leeds, so that's for community mental health team service users. We offer our model of peer support specifically for those people. We also have a project called Horizons, which is run with Better Leeds Communities, which is providing peer support for people who are experiencing some sort of crisis at the moment. So crisis and hardship crisis can be a sort of number of things, from financial issues to domestic abuse and violence, sort of drug problems, anything within that sort of remit really. We also have 2 peer support workers at the Recovery Centre at Ascot Croft, and we also have a project called Mend, which is for men in Leeds area who are either experiencing or at risk of experiencing suicidal thoughts and feelings. And that's a one-to-one service, not a group service.
So you've talked a little bit about the workshop that we've got on social isolation, which was something that we designed with COVID-19 and the kind of current lockdown situation in mind. So can you talk a little bit about how we've adapted the peer support services in order to delivering during this time?
We've adapted to the current situation by setting up online groups. Naturally, groups face-to-face weren't an option with the current lockdown and social distancing measures, but we've now started doing groups using Zoom, the online video conferencing tool, to be able to do groups in a safe way while still kind of keeping the peer support ethos and the way that groups work in mind. And then we've also kind of created specific session plans at work and in response to the current situation. So coping with isolation has been one that we've adapted to this current situation. So it looks at kind of specifically some of the challenges at the moment. You know, isolation is something that can be a really big struggle for people who are struggling with mental health difficulties, and that's heightened now more so than ever. Because we're now being told to remain healthy, that we need to stay at home. And for a lot of people, usually the struggle is trying to get outside, connect with people. So, and it's also got in the way of a lot of people's usual coping strategies. So we've kind of looked at managing living at home, but also kind of like practical ways new ways we can adapt to that situation. I think one of the big things as well about having that group is just a chance for people to connect with each other. You know, one of the big struggles is that we're not seeing people on a regular basis, and you know, everyone who's turning up to those workshops are in the same boat and really feeling a lot of the same things. And it's been really great to be able to offer something that's specific to this situation, and just also to hear how many like inspiring stories people have of like ways in which they've adapted to like the situation as well. So like creating new coping strategies and finding ways to connect, and just how quickly people have adapted to using our online groups as well. Like I personally came up with 1,000 problems for setting up online groups, but the way we've responded internally, but also the way people have adapted to it, the group members, has been so great to see. And it's amazing that we've been able to offer that so soon after kind of all of this has happened.
Yeah. So yeah, we are doing our groups via Zoom now. So all virtual and online, which is a really easy program to use. Really easy to download and very user friendly. You can use it on any sort of computer, tablet, or even a smartphone. You don't need like a good computer to run it. It will run on pretty much any computer. And if people are sort of worried about using Zoom for the first time, they're not sort of experienced with using technology and things, when they book on to come to sessions, they can ask for some time with a facilitator before the group to sort of jump into Zoom and have a little look around and get used to it, sort of, 15 minutes or so. So that they feel more confident about sort of accessing the group in the virtual space.
Have you had feedback from group members that have made that transition to online? Yeah. Have they maybe found it easier than they thought? Have they found it really helpful to keep up that contact?
Yeah, I think I did a group this week, and at the end we sort of reflect on something we're taking away from the session that day. And a few people sort of shared that coming on Zoom and doing a video call like this was a lot easier than they'd thought it would be. I think it's quite a scary prospect to sort of come on and do this, especially if you're not used to using technology, and especially if someone is struggling with their mental health otherwise, that this is sort of an added barrier. But it's a lot easier than people might think. And yeah, having that time with a facilitator beforehand, if you are anxious about using it, can really help to sort of alleviate some of that and get you into the group.
Okay, so if somebody's watching this and they're maybe interested in giving peer support a try, but are still a little bit anxious and a little bit hesitant, what would you say to them?
Well, I guess first of all, I would say it's really natural to feel that way. I kind of said myself that I was very hesitant. I was really terrified about speaking in front of people. But I think the thing is just kind of like knowing that there's not really any pressure. And once you get into the groups, that everyone else is kind of in the same boat once you get there. And I remember feeling like a lot more at ease as soon as the session started. Like the apprehension is the worst part, and it's just kind of getting the foot in the door and kind of being there is the main challenge, really. I've kind of haven't really looked back since that first session, and it's felt really comfortable with me. But I think also just knowing that there's no pressure to kind of like that it needs to work for me, or that I need to kind of say the right things or anything like that. For anyone that is interested, you can book online, booking through email. You can use our website to look for more information. So Leeds Mind peer support section of our website you can book on, and you can book through email. So you can book via peersupport@leedsmind.org.uk and book onto our introduction to group work to get a sense for a little bit more about what the groups are.
Peer support might not be for everyone as well, but I think that coming to a group and having the chance to experience it and find that out for yourself is really useful, even if it's not for you, that then you can sort of go and find something else that is more useful to you. But for the people that peer support works for, I see it, all the time in my job. I'm very fortunate to be able to see people that come through our service and continue with it and really benefit from it. And, it does a lot of good for them.
Yeah. Thank you both ever so much for your time. It's been really good to find out a little bit more about peer support at Leeds Mind, and hopefully this discussion kind of sheds some light on it for people and encourages them to give it a go. Cool. Thank you both ever so much. And speak soon. Stay safe.
Yes, take care.
Thanks.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.